Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. So I understand Cathie Wood from ARK Invest is almost treated as a messiah when it comes to the Tesla stock price. And we already seen all the fanboys praising her new price target without making any sense of the numbers themselves. It's like I say, these fanboys are great cheerleaders for the stock. So let's just delve deeper into the weeds on some of what was stated in ARK's new Tesla price target. Personally, I give it no credibility, and I'll explain why. We'll start with cars sold. For the bull case, we're at 10 million cars a year. But as we can see, we've accumulated 22 million total Teslas on the road, according to ARK's more in-depth spreadsheet, implying that ARK think that Tesla will go from 12 million cars total to just about doubling the entire cars on the road within 1 year. So let's work back from there, shall we, and see how we can arrive at this number. Well, if this was at 50% growth from 2024, then that would imply Tesla manufactured 6.5 million in 2024 and 4.5 million in 2023. But there we're already around 22 million cars if we're including what's on the road today. So that doesn't work, as Tesla will not make 0 cars in 2022 and 0 in 2021. If we move forward from 2021 with 1 million and starting base as high as 2022 with 2 million, and then give 50% from there, we arrive at 6.5 million at 2025, and would only have a total of 18 million cars on the road. They've shown no way as to how they arrive at these numbers. I've created a model that likely fits in best with their numbers, but this still means that 2025 will see 100% growth from 2024, but 2024 only had 50% growth. So there is nothing here that makes sense. Perhaps we could assume this enormous jump in production for 2025 was because of the Model 2 launch or ramp up, but we should possibly expect to see the Model 2 coming off the production line at the end of next year and fully ramped up by 2023, and especially if we're dealing with the bull model. So that would mean if Tesla are producing 10 million cars in 2025, that'd be closer to a total of 30 million Teslas on the road. I'm not saying Tesla won't be selling 10 million cars by 2025. In fact, they could be possibly even earlier. I'm saying that if they are, they'll have more than 22 million cars on the road by then. Okay, average selling price. So how on earth did they get to an ASP of 36,000? Let's just do some quick numbers. By 2025, if we're at 10 million sales a year, then surely 2 million must be Model Y, 2 million probably Model 3, so perhaps only 150,000 from S and X. But we have Cybertruck and Semi, which cost significantly more. Even on ARK's model, they have Model 3 and Model Y averaging over $50,000. I think we'll assume that these prices do include FSD, although FSD would have likely increased in price by then, and Tesla would be able to take 100% of that income and not have to put half of it away as deferred revenue, a total oversight of ARK here. In other words, these ASPs should be higher without a doubt. They have decided to call the Model 2 the Model A. I guess they wanted to try and be clever, as they know Elon's not a fan of the name Model 2, except they haven't done their due diligence and didn't realise that Ford owns the copyright for the Model A name, and won't give that up. I'm not trying to attack ARK here, I'm just trying to simply establish credibility, but it doesn't matter because numbers don't lie. But here's where we see what's happened. As far as I can tell, ARK have decided to introduce a new model, the Neighbourhood EV, and they seem to think it will cost $15,000. But they've declared the Model A as the Robotaxi, not the Neighbourhood EV. Now, there has definitely been no mention of Tesla aiming for a $15,000 model, and as far as we can tell, it's going to be tough enough to get down to a $25,000 EV, let alone an absurd $15,000 one. Perhaps their thoughts are it's going to be a tiny compact car with just 100 miles of range. Well, if it is, then it's probably not suitable for the Robotaxi network anyway. And considering how much this affects their entire forecast, it seems very strange they would in no way think about mentioning it in their report. Anyway, what's the point of analysing a business's future stock if you arbitrarily decide over half of the sales are from some imaginary product that has never even been mentioned before, and is likely not only possible to build at this price and not going to fit in with the business model? A $25,000 Tesla is already cheap and affordable enough, and perfectly feasible for the Robotaxi network. Anyway, let's quickly humour ARK's idea of a Neighbourhood EV, considering they've based their entire forecast on it, given that it literally accounts for possibly the majority of the sales. What would a Neighbourhood EV even be? Perhaps a little compact car that autonomously travels around the neighbourhood, perhaps to take you to the local shops or bus stop. it wouldn't have significant range and would need to be recharged at a high frequency. But yes, perhaps the cost per mile would reduce maybe somewhat, maybe from 18 cents for the Model 3 a mile to 10 cents. But the Model 2 would have been about 12 cents anyway. But that still leaves minimal profit to Tesla or the owner. And if these cars are just driving around neighborhoods, then it's unlikely they're going to get to the average of 130,000 miles traveled a year that ARK claim. Again, the numbers simply aren't adding up. But perhaps this is why ARK think production would double in 2025, as these neighborhood EVs are so small and easy to produce and require perhaps 20 kilowatts hour of a battery. Oh, and they haven't even included the semi-truck in their analysis here. Okay, the Roadster isn't going to be that big a seller, so I can understand if they left that out. But the semi-truck is meant to account for 30% of EV revenue, and it's a really big ticket item. Did they just forget it? ARK say insurance will be within a platform fee to do with robotaxis, but there's still going to be 40% of their cars not in the platform, yet they have the bear case with 4 times as much revenue. Again, these numbers don't add up. And they keep adding new services that Tesla have never discussed before. As for ride-hailing, I think you'd make more on Uber with a used Prius, so why use a nice modern Tesla to pick up strangers? But for robotaxis, 60% of Tesla owners will be using their Teslas in the robotaxi fleet, with an average of 130,000 miles a year. So if that's the average, it would imply that these Teslas are full-time. In other words, more than half of Tesla owners have just decided they don't want their Teslas anymore, and they would rather put them in the robotaxi fleet. In addition to that, as so many Teslas were sold in 2025, 2023, and 2022, going by their model, perhaps 19 million of them, implying they're only a few years old, so practically still new, why would so many Tesla owners want to hand them over to strangers? But the crazy part is the price. They've just shown a table of various prices, presumably fair per mile, but they didn't want to make it intuitive or easy to understand. They appeared to have enough trouble just to get the columns to line up, and they have in no way indicated what fare would be charged on the robotaxi network. And even if robotaxis did launch, I don't think it would be a case where suddenly every Tesla owner in every city can suddenly offer their Tesla if they choose. The logistics wouldn't be sufficient. It would have to start on a city-by-city basis, where Tesla have their own fleet as a buffer to fill in any logistic holes. Otherwise, people would order a robotaxi and might be waiting for 30 minutes or longer. This entire report is a total farce. They haven't shown how they arrived at any of these numbers. They haven't based them on anything. They are literally pulling them out of thin air. And as I worked out in the previous video, if they're getting 50% gross margin, then the robotaxi revenue comes in at 19 cents a mile, and Elon said the cost alone was 18 cents a mile, meaning 1 cent gross per mile, and that's shared between Tesla and the car owner. No matter what you say, there is no possible way you can argue with that. They've not done the numbers properly. In their model, they have left $71 billion for Tesla's costs for 13 million robotaxis, which comes in at 4 cents a mile or $5,500 a year per car. This is the amount that needs to be given to the owner to cover all their costs and make a return, with a car doing 130,000 miles a year. Now, just think alone how many tyres the car would go through a year, how many times they'd need to clean the car. A Model 3 would cost about 18 cents a mile. Perhaps the Model 2 is down to 12 cents a mile. That's a loss of 8 cents a mile, or about $10,000 a year for any Model 2 robotaxi owner. And you can see all the numbers here clearly. They do not add up. What have they done? And as for energy, note, we do not model Tesla's utility energy storage or solar business in our models. Why? Why would they leave out Tesla's energy and solar business? We would expect that by 2025, this would start to be a significant part of the business. So why leave it out? Do they think that Tesla will really be that battery constrained? Perhaps they'll have to resort to this neighborhood EV, and why they don't have the semi in production or energy storage? But why aren't they including solar cells then if that's the case, or heat pumps? One possible theory that works in with these numbers is Tesla is still severely battery constrained, and in 2025 there is some breakthrough, hence the dramatic increase in cars that year. But as far as I can tell, Tesla are well on track to sorting their battery supply. Berlin alone is expected to produce 250 gigawatt hours, which is enough batteries for almost 5 million cars, and similar with Texas. Shanghai will also supply enough batteries for the Model 2. And then what about all of Tesla's other partners? By 2025, Tesla themselves are probably not too far off 1 terawatt hour of batteries. I would say, including their partners, there should be enough batteries for at least 500 gigawatt hours of energy. So why on earth do they leave it out? Anyway, my advice is to pay absolutely no attention to this report on the slightest. They've used numbers that contradict each other and have not shown how they arrived at these numbers or why. This is a real disappointment, as we could have expected some great insight as to what Tesla's potential is here, a model that could really be worked on. What is the point of just simply believing analysts with numbers that are not backed up in any way, which also conflicts to what Elon Musk has told us in the past, or contains new information that Tesla has in no way indicated? It all seems very strange to me. It's as if they're just giving themselves numbers to make their model work. But it still doesn't work. It could possibly make sense if Tesla used all these neighborhood models for themselves and used them as robo-taxis, but in that case, why have ARK included the sales of them as revenue, and also assigned their Model A as the robo-taxi? Again, no way of making sense of it. If you have any ideas on how this model works by doing some real modeling, with real math, with numbers that aren't pulled out of thin air, it would be great if you could leave your comments below, so perhaps we can get to the bottom of it. Thanks for listening, please hit the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.